Good morning, my dear friends. Let me introduce before you an interesting topic: educational financing in India. Economics of education is a very interesting topic. When you hear the term economics of education, sometimes you may feel that it is something related to economy, that is, learning about the different sources of economy of a country. But I'm sorry, it's not. Economics of education is the study of financial aspects related to education, such as the money spent by the government for providing education to its citizens, the courses which are to be selected for a better economic status in the future, the courses which have got more scopes in the business world, and the expenses for infrastructural facilities and maintenance for the educational institutions. So here we are going to discuss a topic related to economics of education, nothing else but educational financing in India. And this, by the end of this video, you will be able to define what economics of education is. You will be able to tell in which list education is included in India. You will be able to explain different aspects of planning commission in India. You will be able to explain different aspects of the finance commission in India. You will be able to explain the pressure exerted by different stakeholders in the case of providing funds for different activities related to education. So let me bring you to the topic. At the very beginning, I want to tell you that there are three lists in India, which tell about the categories of power of different governments in India. India is a democratic country, and there is central government as well as state governments. So some items may be under the jurisdiction of central government, some other items may be under the jurisdiction of state governments, and some other sections may be under the power of both governments. So there are three lists in India. Now let's look. List 1, list 2 and list 3. First list consists of the areas on which central government holds power. In the first list you can see some items, some areas, some works of administration which can be controlled only by central government. State governments cannot interfere in such matters. State governments cannot tell anything about any item included in the first list because these items are exclusively assigned to the central government. So it is the first list. And the second list consists of the areas on which the state governments hold power. Yes, central government is above the state governments, but there are some items included in the second list of the administration And these items or these activities or these aspects of administration cannot be controlled by central government. Central government cannot interfere in such items. If central government tries to interfere, then state governments can go to Supreme Court and prevent central government from interfering in such matters. So the second list consists of some areas, some aspects of administration which come under the jurisdiction of state governments. And the third list, as we told earlier, some areas are there on which both central government and the state governments hold power jointly. Here, as a combination of power you can see. You can see these are some joint ventures, these are some joint powers by state governments and central government. And this third list is known as concurrent list. So if you ask what is concurrent list, then you can just write concurrent list is the list of power in India which consists of the areas which come under the power of central government as well as state governments. So now you know what different lists are and what first list is, what second list is, and what concurrent list is. Now the question is, in which list education comes? Whether it comes under it comes in the list, the first list, that is whether education is controlled by central government, or whether it comes under the second list, that is whether it is controlled by the state government, or whether it comes in the list called concurrent list, that is the list of powers which can be controlled by state governments as well as central government. There is some history. Until 1976, education had been in list 2, excepted for only a few areas of it. Until 1976, education was controlled by state governments. Though there had been some exceptional cases, though some areas of education, some aspects of education had been controlled by central government, most of the aspects of education, most of the things related to education had been controlled by state governments until 1976. And this year, just scribble in your mind, 1976, because in 1976 there was an amendment in Constitution. Since 1976, through a constitutional amendment, education has been in the third list, that is in the concurrent list. So before 1976, education was in the second list. Central government had not been able to interfere in the case of education, though there was some educational minister or there was some human resource development minister. They had been not able to interfere in most of the items related to education. But in 1976, there was an amendment in the Constitution, and after this amendment, education has been included in the third list, that is in the concurrent list. That means now education is controlled, state governments as well as central governments. So there is there is a joint power, or they both of them are controlling educational aspects or educational institutions with some mutual understanding and mutual respect. That should be there according to this one. So from 1976, education has been included in the third list, that is concurrent list. Now let's look at the structure of educational expenditure in India. There are two types of expenditure: planned expenditure and non-planned expenditure. And you can just look at there and you can easily understand. Planned expenditure is for developmental purpose, and non-planned expenditure is maintenance purpose. So just look at the word plan. There will be a plan only when there is something new. Yeah. If you want to start a new IIT in your country, then there will be a plan. If you want to start a new agricultural university, then there will be a plan. If you want to start a new technical university in your country, then there will be a plan. So plan expenditure is the expenses which are intended for developmental purpose. That means building a new school or introducing a new program, right? For example, if you have got some courses in a college, and when you approve a new course, then it is a new thing. So the expenses for that new course will be coming under plan expenditure. New buildings, when you, for example, if you offer a library for a university and you are building a new building for the library, then it comes under plan expenditure. And after 2 years, you want to extend the building, you want to add some more buildings with library, then it comes under non-plan expenditure, because non-plan expenditure is for maintenance purpose, repairing the building or purchasing new furniture. See, if you want to provide computer labs for each and every school in your country, then when you start, then the fund comes under planned expenditure. After 2 years, some schools forward a proposal for having 10 more computers, then it comes under non-planned expenditure. Or after 1 or 2 years, some of the computers get damaged in some schools, then if they forward some proposal for the computers to be repaired, then the fund comes under non-planned expenditure. So these are the two types of expenditure in India for education and some other aspects, okay, for some other fields. And here in the field of education also you can see this planned expenditure and non-planned expenditure. Now if you look at the sources of educational funding in India, you can see different sources are there. In external source is there, internal source is there. External source is very meager, very few, very little, and internal source is huge or large. And if you look at external sources, you can see aid, financial aid from some people, some sponsorship and such things, or some financial aid from some other countries. Then loan, educational loans and such things. Then others, some other items. This is the external sources of fund for education. Some students get some loans, and some educational institutions get some financial aid from some other bodies. If you want to start a new schools, then sometimes you may get some loan from banks with some privileges. Then internal sources are public sources and private sources. And if you look at public sources, you can see government sources and quasi-government sources. Government sources means central government and state governments. Quasi-government means district, municipalities, panchayats, okay, such local bodies. Then these sources come under public. Then look at the private sources. You can see fees collected from the students, then endowments, donation. Nowadays, management committees or administrative committees are collecting donation from teachers when giving them appointments for different posts in their educational institutions. Then sometimes some people may be providing some endowment for some students who have got some great merit or some brilliant talent. Then fees from the students. So these are the different sources of educational funding in India. And see, internal funding is very huge. External funding is very meager. Financial aid from some other countries or some other people or some other trusts and such things. Then loan and others. Okay. But internal is public and private. So in India, government spends more money for education. Then you can just look at the contribution of different sources to education in India. From 1950 to 51, government funding was 57%. Quasi-government, that is local government funds, were 10%. Fees, through fees, educational institutions collected 20%. And endowment, through endowment, 10%. And look at 1960-61, you can see increase in the case of the fund providing by government. It had been 57% during the decade 1950-51, but here during the 1960-61 it became 68%. And look at 1970 and 71, again it is increased to 75%. And look at 1980-81 decade, again increased to 81%. So this chart shows that different Indian governments have given prime importance to education. It was because different educational commissions put forth different recommendations, and most of the national leaders felt that only by giving education to the citizens the nation could develop. Maybe because of such a concept, maybe because of such a vision, such a great vision, different governments go on increasing the funds for education. Then contribution of different sources to education in India, private and government. Okay. Again, you can look at the government funding was increasing. Okay. Then look at the hike in public expenditure for educating one pupil. During the decade 1950-51, only rupees 35.6 were spent for giving education for a single citizen. But during the 1987-88 decade, rupees 884.5 was spent for providing education for a single child. Just see the increase. Because India has got a large network of education. I think it is one of the biggest networks of education in the world. And India could build such a large network, such a big network of education, just because different governments which came to power during different eras gave great importance to education. Yes, the hike is 2,500% within 3 decades. Now we have to look at planning commission. Now there is no planning commission. Now after the arrival of Narendra Modi and team, Sri Narendra Modi and team into power, the planning commission was dismissed and something else came, something else called NITI Aayog came. Okay, but still we can just look at planning commission. The planning commission was established during 1950s when the five-year planning process was launched. You know about 5-year planning process. During the regime of Jawaharlal Nehru, they just started 5-year planning. Means there was some comprehensive planning for the activities to be done in the coming 5 years. And they were thinking about which area should be given more importance during a particular 5-year plans. So as a part of this 5-year plans in 1950s, this planning commission was launched. And all the plans and such things were discussed and finalized by this planning commission during those times. See, we told about plan expenditure. The plan expenditure was controlled by this planning commission. And though it was a body of central government, or it was a statutory body, or it was a body, it was a committee formed by central government, states also got some opportunity to provide their views. States also were able to forward some plans, and the planning commission would accept the plan, and if the planning commission felt that it was valid, then they would give some financial aid and such things. The programs and their goals to BBC realized during each 5-year plans also is decided by it. So this is planning commission. And you can look at the different statistics. I don't want to explain. I will send you this PowerPoint presentation. This is the contribution of state government and central government during different 5-year plans. Actually, the whole fund was not provided by central government, but there was some contribution by the state governments too in the 5-year plans. And these are some statistics. You can read and understand. Then comes the finance commission. The finance commission takes care of the transfer of non-planned resources between the center and states. Planning commission determines the plan expenditure. Planning commission controls the plan expenditure. But finance commission takes care of the transfer of non-plan expenditure between center and states. The finance commission in India is statutory body. I'm sorry, planning commission is not a statutory body. This finance commission is a statutory body. That means it have got some legal power. No government can control it. It is a statutory body. The finance commission in India is a statutory body appointed by the President of India once every 5 years. It makes the recommendation on the distribution of resources based on the provisions of the constitution. And here for example, if you start some IITs in different areas in India, then if the IITs forward some proposals for maintenance or proposals for some purchasing some more items, then Finance Commission will receive the proposals and they will check whether it is reasonable, whether it is valid, whether it can be allowed or permitted or issued. And after that, they will give advice to the government to provide some financial aid. And this is the procedure. So the Finance Commission deals with the non-planned expenditure. And the Finance Commission procedure for fund allocation by the Finance Commission. The Finance Commission received detailed statements from the states of their requirements for each head of account. The Finance Commission will invite proposals from different state governments at regular intervals. And the state government should prepare a proposal. In the proposal, they should clearly mention the amount of money which they need for different accounts, different aspects of maintenance and such things. The Finance Commission, in its turn, reassesses these state forecasts and recommendations for an allocation of resources to be made. So here the Finance Commission will go through the proposals. They will look at each and every point mentioned in the proposals. They will look at whether the proposal is valid. They will look at whether the states require the funds they demanded, whether the full amount of fund demanded by the states should be given or whether half of the amount can be given, and such things will be scrutinized by the Finance Commission, and after that they will provide the funds. So you may ask the difference between Finance Commission and Planning Commission. Finance Commission, Planning Commission is sometimes Finance Commission is a constitutional body. Planning Commission is an organ of the Union government. Planning Commission is a part of Union government. Union government can control them. But Finance Commission is a constitutional body or a statutory body. Government cannot control them. Then Finance Commission controls maintenance process through allocation of non-planned expenditure. But Planning Commission controls development process through allocation of planned expenditure. So this is something about the educational financing in India. Thank you very much. Now I have to tell something more. And I told that now there is no Planning Commission. After the arrival of Shri Narendra Modi and team into the power of India, in 2015 January, they just dismissed Planning Commission and they formed a new commission, a new body called NITI Aayog. And several provisions were removed from this NITI Aayog, because we told that states governments also got some power to forward their opinions, to forward their views, to forward their proposals when Planning Commission was there. But nowadays in NITI Aayog there is no such options. So now NITI Aayog is there, the Planning Commission is not there. Thank you very much.